Hi, my name is Dellasanta, and I am doing my project on using Trello for website development project management. I have actually used Trello for years in personal and professional projects because I love the visual aspect of it. I like being able to see all of the things that I have done or need to do or ideas that I have laid out before me in one place. If you're not familiar with Trello, it looks like a board on which you can put all kinds of little cards into list form. This can take on a number of different configurations, but a little bit more to come on that later. Another thing I like about Trello is that it's free. And a third thing is that it allows users to make these lists, track and edit content, add photos, and so on. We've looked at a number of different collaborative tools this semester, and they're great, but I tend to default to the ease of the Trello interface. So I decided to do a little overview for you using the Trello app for web design for this project because I also thought that the activity of doing so would help my team with our final project, and I kind of wanted to share that with you. As we've seen, building a website, especially as part of a team, takes a tremendous amount of collaboration. One person alone can certainly do it, and I'm sure that website developers out in the wild do so all the time. But, when you're working with others, it's mission critical to ensure that everybody can see what the others are doing, everybody knows their role. Otherwise, you can end up with some duplication of efforts, overlooked tasks, or even really great ideas that never make it to the light of day. For this project, the first thing I did was create a new board. Once you open up a Trello account, you'll have a workspace on which you can create all kinds of different boards and share them with specific people that you choose to. I created one for our team's project and I named it after the website we are developing, which is Bedford Big Band. You can give your boards a background of whatever you like. Trello pairs with Unsplash to give you access to pictures by photographers, or you can just choose a color. I ended up choosing a picture of a trumpet because our site is for the Bedford Big Band. And I guess I thought that that would keep us in the mindset of what we were doing while we were working. At work, I have a background on my Trello board of a shelf of books because I work in a library. And I have personal boards that reflect whatever vibe I want to invoke when I'm in that space. This is one of the features about Trello that I like a lot because I think that the theme of a space helps to keep me in the vibe of what I intend to be working on, which I guess is kind of a metaphor for what we've learned in this class as well. Here I've put up a couple of different boards that I found on the internet just to show you how much the background of your board can give the completely different vibe to the project that you're working on. We use Trello at work for collaborating on some big initiatives that involve multiple people that can accomplish multiple tasks. And for example, our tech team uses Trello much in the same way that I'm going to show you here. They make a huge list of items that when I'm using a board to keep track of a project or projects, I usually begin with some kind of master list or a brain dump, as I call it here. And this is where you take all of the great ideas that you have and you get them out of your head. This reduces your brain overhead of having to retain these little snippets and also decreases the likelihood of your great ideas getting skewed by spending too much time marinating in your brain instead of coming out onto paper, even if that paper is virtual paper. Getting your little ideas down into one centralized place, especially where your teammates can see them, is also a way to give people the opportunity to riff off of your ideas and come up with something new and, maybe even better. So what you see here is the beginning of what we call lists. And lists are what will give your project structure. For the purpose of this project, I will just create a few lists that I think we will need. We haven't actually started using this yet, but we'll see. You can see here that I've started to brainstorm some of the things that we still need to do to accomplish our project. Anytime that I think of something new to add to this, I'll just put it down. It can be helpful to have this open while we're meeting or even while we're working independently on our portions of the project and something just sort of pops into our head. Each one of these items that we put on here becomes an individual card that can be moved from list to list as its status changes. Here's an example of a card that I found online. This card is opened up in its opened up form, so not in its list form. And inside of it, you can see that you can assign each card to a team member. You can create smaller checklists on the inside. You can write notes to each other, and so on. There's all kinds of things that you can do inside the card to make your project steps all the more granular. Here you can see that I've created some more lists, and each one of these has cards that can be just sort of shuffled on down the line as you continue to accomplish your tasks. So if you look at the titles of some of these cards, I've made things like next, blocked, and so on. And what that means is these lists become repositories for things that have for cards that have statuses that change. So, for example, I might be needing to speak with some of the band members for their opinions on content, but I can't do that because my teammate Reggie has to initiate contact for me. So then I would move my card into the list that says blocked, and Reggie would see it and be like, oh my God, let me get right on that. Or maybe we're meeting together on a Saturday afternoon and Marion sees one of the tasks that she's totally ready to do and wants to put it on the next list. We would then move the card from the brain dump into the next list, assign Marion as owner of the card, and then maybe help her break down the next steps into an internal checklist. These are some of the ways that we can use the board for collaboration, and you can see how the board can be useful for keeping track. Here is an example from a website development company that uses Trello to outline their projects. You can see that they have a different set of 5 lists. They have a list that defines their project, structure for the project, what their design is going to be, including mood boards. And you can see the wireframe and the structure list over there. Then they make their build list and they have their launch list. I'm going to give you a link to this website so that you can take a closer look, because I found it really cool. I actually found it really useful to see all of the steps that are necessary when you're collaborating on a project and you do it for a living. But I did want to put this here so that you can get kind of an idea of what other people do when they're designing websites using Trello boards. And it looks like this is something that happens with some frequency, because here is a template that from the official Trello website of a web development board that you can log into and download and personalize for your own organization. Hopefully, I have helped you wet your creative juices by showing you a few ideas for using Trello for your project. And I have a few questions for you that will reflect that. One, have you ever used Trello? If yes, have you used it for a team collaboration project or just some individual project? Two, if you haven't used Trello, do you think you would? Why or why not? And three, what is your favorite way of collaborating on group projects? Thank you very much for making it this far, and I look forward to your discussion later in the week.